You're listening to WPPM-LP in Philadelphia. Stay tuned for the People Power Lunch Hour show. Watching on PhillyCam TV, I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber, and this is the People Power Lunch Hour show. On today's show, we are going to have youth voices being featured throughout the show. Students in the summer journalism program have taken over People Power Lunch Hour to present news articles and different discussion topics that matter to youth. Stay tuned. We'll have a bunch of really great segments, and we'll be right here. Check us out on phillycam.org. We'll be right back. As I mentioned earlier, it's the youth takeover version of the People Power Lunch Hour show. And on today's show, we have 4 really great segments produced by youth for youth. Our first segment is going to be talking about diversity and ICE and many other things. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Tell everyone who you are.
My name is Kayla Marrero. I attend Crystal Ray Philadelphia High School. I'm a junior, and I'm from West Philadelphia.
Hi, my name is Brenda Krishna Wongso. I come from Central High School. I'm going to be a senior this year.
Welcome. So tell everyone what you're going to talk about today.
Okay, so today I will do a monologue on how trees are really diverse. Trees live among different trees as it displays an example of how Philadelphia should be. In this monologue, a tree will explain how Philly may appear diverse, but is actually segregated. In fact, the only solution to fix it is by coming together as a community to attend many fun events or organizations in Philly.
That was really great. Did you write that yourself?
Yes.
And what about the monologue form do you like? Just being able to express yourself and like a different form of storytelling?
Yeah, I think a monologue is like very personal to me. So like, I think it's going to be fun.
Great. What do we have next?
For me, I'm doing more of a traditional journalism article. I'm going to be writing a little bit about Philly and its interactions with ICE and how we're kind of trying to step away from that situation where we're having a lot of people who are undocumented getting taken and basically families getting separated.
Great. So what are some of the things you have learned in this process? It's your first time producing a radio show?
I learned so during my research, I learned that actually Philadelphia is not what it seems. Like the expectation of Philadelphia seems like very diverse, but it's actually not. If you take a stroll through Philadelphia, you notice like the different areas where people are like very similar, like the same race, but it's not like a whole neighborhood where it's like everybody that's different.
Great. And what about for you?
For me, I figured out a couple interesting things about our mayor and how he's actually very supportive of like the immigration laws and everything. Not in the sense that he wants people to be deported or anything. I feel like he's becoming someone who's going to help make Philly more of a sanctuary city, because recently we've been having a lot of battles with that, considering like there has been problems with ICE, and like under the Trump administration there's like a lot of times where people end up getting deported or end up getting arrested without warrants and things like that, and we're a city that's trying to grow and help people out. So yeah.
What would y'all like to see in the future? The youth are the future, right? So what could be better about this?
Well, I think personally, I just want to see everyone in Philly getting along because it is a city of brotherly love, but I don't feel the love from nobody.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it could be hard out there, right? So people should be kinder and nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about for you?
For me, I personally think that there's a lot of times where undocumented immigrants or immigrants in general, they like to, well, they don't like to, but they have to hide in the shadows, and they're afraid to say things and step out and speak up about stories that they have to tell. And I think the problem with that is that then we lose the sense of like immigration is a natural thing that happens. I'm not saying that it's correct to immigrate here illegally, but at the same time we have to understand that these people have families and they have people that they care about, and we have to understand that we're human, so they deserve the same rights as we do, and we need to step in and help even if you're not undocumented yourself. So I think that's what I really want from the people.
What do y'all like about doing journalism?
Well, personally, I just like writing aspect. I like saying the facts, the opinions. I just want to get my message across to people.
And how about for you?
For journalism, I like part of it that's really factual, so it helps in making your argument. And I also like the fact that you can choose to present like facts a certain way and make sure that certain parts are left out or put in, and it gives you a lot of chances to question and be nosy about things. So yeah.
I definitely like that part. That's my favorite part of doing a radio. Well, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up this segment? You want to shout out your teacher?
Oh yeah, thanks to Emily.
Thanks to Emily Plummer,
Yeah.
part of the Graduate School of Education for UPenn. She's really cool, really nice. The thing I want to say is that we're always trying to offer help out here, and like a lot of times, like she says, she doesn't feel like there's love out here. We're all trying to like live life, and we're trying to help each other out. So if you ever need help, just be willing to like knock on a neighbor's door, ask for help. There are places you can go, so never feel really alone. So yeah.
I like that message. All right, you've picked out a song. What are we going to hear?
All right, so today we will listen to Immigrants by the Hamilton Mixtape.
Why did you pick this song?
Oh, because her topic is about immigrants, but also like immigrants are what makes Philadelphia diverse.
Okay, check it out. You've heard the youth voices here on People Power Lunch Hour show. This is Immigrants. We get the job done from the Hamilton Mixtape. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. On today's show, we're featuring youth voices. Students who have been participating in a summer journalism program have taken over our show, and they've been presenting different topics. So we have our next group. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Tell everyone who you are.
Okay. I'm Kathy.
I'm Kara.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Tagita.
We are now going to read a quick intro of each of our articles. I'll start. It's February 28th, 2018. The students of John Bartram High School of their school holding signs that say things like #WeCount2 and peace and love. Why are they doing this? They are protesting unnecessary gun violence in Philadelphia and how it never gets media attention.
Speaking of violence in Philadelphia, I based my own article around an incident that happened in 2009. A group of Asian students at South Philly High School were attacked. And my own article focuses on the model minority myth and how it affects the divide between Asians and other minorities in America.
My article is also linked to Kathy's, and it focuses on a broader topic also relating to the model minority myth, in which the myth of model minority and how it affects Asian/Asian American students in school and other aspects of life, such as family relationships.
And in my monologue, academic pressure is indeed a huge issue. Here's a monologue I wrote that depicts the many hardships of academic pressure. I need a 4.0. I need a 4.0. I need a 4.0. I need a 4.0. If I can't, I won't have a successful career. I need a 4.0. To become the person I want to become, I need to have the score. Because who am I if I fail? I need to get into Yale. I need a full scholarship so my parents can be proud of me for once in my life. So I can no longer be the least favorite child. Yes, I've made mistakes, but I'm human. Why can't they just see that I try my best day in and day out? But it's fine. They favor my older brother who doesn't do anything at all. He's a C- student. To be honest, I'm still surprised he is in college. I join as much clubs as I can, as much school activities there are, but all for what? My parents don't see me the way they see him. My parents don't see me the way they see him. I try constantly, but nothing seems to give, which is why I need to graduate with a 4.0 unweighted GPA and a 4.9 weighted. If Yale accepts me, they will finally love me, and my dreams will come true.
Yeah, let's give him a round. That was pretty great. So, you, hold on one second. You wrote that yourself, and that was a dramatic monologue.
Thank you.
That was really great.
So I think that the monologue was really great, and it really showed how academic pressure just comes from all these heavy expectations, whether it's ones that we force upon ourselves or whether our family puts it upon us. And it also shows heavier issues when the child's grade becomes their entire identity and all the other issues that can come along with it, such as worrying about their parents' love for them if they don't do as well as they hoped, or other issues with struggling to meet an expectation that they might not be able to reach at their current skill level.
Yeah, we were talking about issues, and when I was writing, this just seemed to one idea that came to mind, because it's like people mostly talk about academic pressure, but I also wanted this to tie in also with personal pressure, not just on academic, to feel like you need to get the best grades and do the best, because if you don't, like, who are you without it? And some people are like that. So I wanted to be able to, like, show representation for those people.
How are you liking the summer journalism program so far? Do you enjoy writing and, expressing yourself in that way?
Writing is one of my strong skills, so it's been fun. I wasn't here last week, but my past few days here this week has been really fun learning things, and then the people that's came, and everybody's been helpful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about the rest of you? What do you like about journalism and writing and researching?
I think it's very interesting, especially because I believe most of us are new to this journalism thing, and being able to learn about journalism from a personal perspective and not just what you hear online about how journalism is, just reporting things that happen or adding certain biased opinions. And really, it's a complicated mix of different aspects of writing and life as well as reporting, which I think has been really cool to both see firsthand and be able to try ourselves.
Yeah.
Y'all are agreeing with that? Yes, I see the nods. So what are some of the things you'd like to work on in the future? Are there any other topics that you are interested in exploring or writing about?
The topic that I wrote about was one that I didn't ever have any experience seeing in any other news sources or online, really. So I thought it was just interesting that no one had ever explored it before, and I would like to be able to do more of work with things that other people don't report on.
Yeah, I agree with what Kathy said for this monologue. It's my first time writing something like this, and when I was thinking of it, I wanted to write about something I'd never written before, and for me, I'm better as a creative writer than a journalism writer, so this has been helping me to be able to write things that I haven't written before, but also that are about people and stories that they want to share.
Right, I think journalism allows us to explore new and interesting ideas that we as creative writers haven't been able to think of before, because a lot of these are real world issues that happen, some small, some big, that people don't necessarily always think about, because in the creative writing process, a lot of it is creating these new things that only you would really think of, but being able to take real life issues and spin it with a personal twist, I think is something very unique to journalism and something that we're all enjoying testing out.
Yeah, and additionally, journalism is many things, and for me, I'm more used to the film aspect than the writing aspect, so it's been interesting learning another side of journalism.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody want to add anything else?
I think we can start going into the articles now.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
So my article focuses a lot on the myth of the model minority, and it also relates to academic pressure in this scenario from the monologue that Tagila gave, because the model minority is a sort of pressure and expectation enforced by society rather than yourself or your parents. And it kind of comes in like, it's not like someone suddenly says, okay, this is your pressure, you have to bear it. It's just something you naturally adapt as you grow up because it's a constant in life for many Asian and Asian American students. And it's the whole idea that, you know, you are born as an Asian, therefore you are exemplary in certain aspects of academics. And when you don't meet these expectations, people will often crack jokes about you not being a real Asian or all these other things that later on make you question your identity as yourself and how important certain aspects of academics are to you. And then adding on to this also, I think stereotypes don't always come out of nowhere. They always have a base to start off with. And in many Asian or Asian American families, this also happens in which parents are busy or parents have worked very hard because a large amount of them are immigrants coming to this country. And so they want their children to do well. And their children also want themselves to do well to make their parents feel proud. And so this idea of academics becomes the link between a parent and a child's relationships, which can severely harm that relationship. And so I thought this was very interesting because jokes about Asian intelligence, it's very common. It's just one of those other racial or stereotypical jokes that people make all the time. But if you really delve into it, there's a lot more serious issues revolving around it, which is also what Kathy wrote about.
As a rising senior, I'm starting to apply to colleges now, and I've been reading a lot of articles lately related to Jessica's issue about how the number of Asian immigrants that have come to America has tripled in the past few years, but that the pool of Asians applying to Ivy League colleges has also tripled in with the statistics, but the actual number of Asian students admitted hasn't changed at all, which I think is a little strange. But the thing that I focused on with the model minority is how putting Asians on a pedestal like this really divides them from other minorities, and there's already this cultural kind of view on darker skinned people that they're lesser, and there's just the model minority perpetuates this divide between minorities, and it's really harmful for all sides of the issue. And one of the biggest things in Philadelphia that I've seen this really play out is in 2009, where in South Philadelphia High School, a group of mainly black students attacked over 30 Asian students and resulted in a week-long boycott on the side of the Asian students because they thought that the school had known about the growing tension for a really long time, but they did nothing to help it. And since then, the new administrative staff has begun an effort to integrate the students better with having workshops on self-defense and no longer separating immigrant students on a separate floor from the rest of the student body. And the school is really still well known for its good English as a second language program and treatment of immigrants, but they're no longer separated, and I think that's a really good thing.
Right, and I think this whole issue, it isn't meant to incarcerate other minorities for not understanding, but it's rather just showing how deep the divide really is, because people will often use the whole model minority idea as Asians, they work hard and they can reach all these high levels. Why can't other minorities do too? Not taking into consideration all these other factors that really contribute to how a model minority survives and lives in America.
So the violence in my article correlates to Kara's topic for her article.
I wrote about the We Count Two movement in Southwest Philadelphia because of there's shootings in the neighborhoods and they never get mentioned on the news, and it's a violence that happens but no one seems to care. It never goes on the news, and it's not fair that people are getting shot, but then they their friends have to figure out through Instagram that their friend or their peer has been killed, and it's just it's really not fair with the violence in Philadelphia. Yeah.
All right, well, those were great article and discussion topics. I want to thank all of you for being on the People Power Lunch Hour show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you want to shout out before we end this segment?
Probably she's not really like a camp counselor, sort of a teacher of sorts, but Emily, who's been running this camp, she's really helped us a lot in exploring journalism and allowing us to develop ourselves as journalists. So it's been really great having her.
Yeah, and she's a really great teacher. She's helped us a lot with our articles. Like, I don't think I could have written it without her help.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Tell us what we're going to hear. You picked out some music. Do you remember the name of it? It's some chill, steady beats.
Yeah, and I was just like wanted to find like a song that was like soothing and calming, and that was the song. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. You're listening to the People Power Lunch Hour show on WPPM and Philly Cam TV. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have more youth voices with us on the show. Listening to the People Power Lunch Hour show on WPPM 106.5 FM. I'm Vanessa Maria, and I'm here today with some youth from the summer journalism program, and they're taking over the show. So we're going to get it started on this next segment, the youth takeover of People Power Lunch Hour. So hello to my special guest. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell everybody who you are.
Hey.
I'm Ponthia, and I'm a 12-year-old writer at Philly Cam. Obviously, I'm at the radio station, so I wrote a monologue about suicide from the perspective of a kitchen knife, which sounds like David's significant other in the story. So sit back and relax and listen to my story. I looked at my perch above the sink. My eyes were fixed on David, waiting for my next task. Today's Thanksgiving, probably finally meet David's mom tonight. I thought intently, Mom, I can't come to Dad's house today. I have work, he trembled. No, I can't get off work. I'm sorry, Mom, I'll call tonight. At least the working part was true. He never has time for me, I thought. David gets ready for work, utters goodbye, and leaves me until late noon. I stare outside from the kitchen window for a long time, awaiting David's arrival. He eventually comes home, stumbling and tripping over his feet. He's drugged up pretty bad, I thought. He then collapsed on the couch in a deep sleep. I watch him until morning in case he doesn't do anything sketchy. Well, anything more sketchy. You didn't call back, I hear David's mom scream. I looked like an idiot when I told him you'd call that night. I'm sorry, Mom, I have to work until morning. He said calmly. Liar, I heard his mom whisper. I talked to your friend, he saw you by Hammond Street smoking. David almost immediately hangs up. He then suddenly grabs me and brings me into his room. He grabbed me by the handle and then stops. For 3 minutes in plain silence, and my point fluidly tears through his left wrist. Blood. He then abruptly dropped me and collapsed to the ground. I laid there, by the bed, staring at one of the legs with fresh blood running down my face. And I never returned back to the kitchen again.
Wow. And that was sort of a way to bring awareness to like suicide and depression.
Yes. So it was basically awareness that people do have depression, and it should be taken really seriously.
Thanks for sharing that monologue. It was really great. And who do we have up next?
Me. Hi, I'm Caleb McKnight, and my article is about suicide prevention for teens. And the reason why I picked this topic is because I think it's a global issue that we need to handle. And I've been looking into sites and research, and here are some facts I've learned. So don't wait for your children to come to you with their problems. Just talk to them. Constantly check up on them if they're in a depressed state or if they're feeling sad or anything. So that's one of my facts, yeah. Another is let the person know they're not alone. Let them know that it'll get better through counseling, stuff like that. And another fact is never, if they're threatening to kill themselves, don't get on that immediately. Get them 302'd and have them put in a safe place after that, because that could be a serious problem. They don't mean to threaten to kill themselves, but that's a serious problem that you need to handle. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of it. There's more, but that's pretty much the end of it. And thank you for listening to me today. So, yeah.
I have a question for you, Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what 302'd means when you said get them 302'd?
Yeah, I think it's like when they take them away. Like
I think it's when you you call 911 and then they come and they give the person help and they take them to hospital or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I think that's what we mean when he says get them 302. It means call 911 for help.
Yeah.
And then make sure the person gets the help that they need.
Mhm.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
researching all those topics. That's important information to give out to the public.
Thank you.
All right, and we have one more person joining the conversation. Hi.
Hello. My name's Thomas Lofton, and my subject was about depression in black communities. Because
let's talk about it.
in 2014, 16% of the black community has been diagnosed with some type of mental illness, and that's 6.8 million people. That's more people than Los Angeles and Chicago combined. And I'm part of that number because I've been dealing with depression for the past 6 years of my life. And for me, what I use to kind of cope with it is comedy. I do a lot of jokes and always try to make people laugh because I feel like if sometimes I can't bring happiness to myself, then maybe I can try to bring it to other people. But in a lot of black communities, another way of the mask is weed and other types of drugs, which can do a lot of harm, as in land you in jail, even overdose. So depression is a problem that I feel like isn't really addressed that much as far as the black communities. You hear a lot of people talking about just, oh, this person was depressed, but you never hear it as a whole as a community. It's more of just focused on one person, I feel like.
Do you think we need to raise awareness and talk about it more?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like that's something that should be brought to the light more.
Why do you think people don't talk about it? Do you think it's like there's...
talking about depression openly is very, awkward. It makes you, if you have depression and you talk about it, then you'll sometimes feel like people are viewing you as weak or less than because of the emotions that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And people that don't have depression sometimes can't connect with that and just see you sad and then just oh, he's sad, it's whatever. So
what do you want people to know about people who are experiencing depression? What's a myth you want to debunk, or something you think people should know about folks suffering from depression?
Is that I feel like some people that see people that are depressed, they think, oh, they just stay in their room and do nothing or don't go outside. And for some people that might be true, but for a lot of people that are depressed, it's like they're not always pouting or always dragging their feet. A lot of people that are depressed normally try to smile through the pain or try to joke or be active to try to, bring happiness to other people. So
do you mean that, people go to work, they live their lives, and we might not know that they're experiencing depression because they're just, having a normal life, seemingly?
Yeah, that's if you look at them on the outside, you might not guess or know that they're depressed, but when the doors are closed and they're in their room, then, that's when they start, maybe breaking down or crying.
Caleb, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. And if you saw a depressed person, how would you give them, what advice would you give them to do?
Or maybe how would you make them feel better,
yeah,
too? How can we help?
One thing is, I know it's difficult because you're afraid of, like I said, being seen as weak or less than, but just trying to seek help is honestly the best course of action instead of drugging up on different things. It's just trying to book an appointment with a therapist or a psychiatrist and just try to get help.
And how can friends be supportive? I think Caleb wants to know, And you tell me if you have a friend who's depressed, what should we tell them?
Just try to comfort them is really the best thing to do, because I mean, there's really nothing that you might be able to really say to change their mind, but just comfort them and be there for them, because when they're going through a tough time, I feel like it's just something that you should do in any situation. And passing in the families, just try to comfort them.
Caleb, you want to ask another question?
Yeah, my other question is, what motivated you to do this topic out of all things?
What motivated me is the fact that I have dealt with depression, like I said, for 6 years.
Yeah.
And for the past, 5 years, I didn't really talk to anyone, just kept it to myself, just tried to smile through it, laugh, tell jokes. But, I feel like the older I got, the more I got serious. Being around, friends who might not take advantage of you for different things. So it was at that point I figured that I might actually need help. So
do you think that by telling your story you can help others?
yeah, that's what I hope to do by sharing my experiences and what I kind of did to maybe try to get out of depression. Hopefully other people can learn from that and try to get better.
And what made you want to write a story? Because that was a really unique story.
I don't know. It just popped. I just wrote whatever was in my head. I just wrote it down on the paper because I wanted to make it feel deep and really make you think about it more.
Yeah. And that's a great way to kind of express yourself. You all did really different things. Caleb, you gave some statistics and some factual information. You wrote a story that was very creative, and you told your own story. And so these are all really different ways of storytelling and journalism. What do you like about doing journalism and writing?
For me, most of the stuff I like about writing is that you can do it in your own way. Do it however you want, like a freestyle. And I just feel like it makes people feel better to read and write and stuff like that. So it puts you in a better mindset for me.
It helps me go into another world. I can write my own story, and it's just really fun to make something that's like Harry Potter or something, and it's really fun.
Yeah, and how about for you?
I like journalism and just writing to really put my emotions down and how I feel. So,
It's like a creative outlet, seems like, for all of you.
yeah.
All right, is there anyone you want to shout out on today's show?
My mom, my dad, my whole entire family, basically, for letting me go into writing camp or journalism camp.
Great. How about you guys?
Shout out to my mom, shout out to my dad, shout out to my family for watching, and shout out to myself.
I'd like to give a shout out to my family and a special little gray cat in my family. I'd like to give a shout out to him. He's real special.
Oh, that's awesome. And we'll shout out Emily, your teacher, as well, for working with us to, get y'all through this journalism program. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go, you had a song that you picked out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like you to take a listen to the song Sad by XXX Tentacion.
Okay, you're listening to WPPM 106.5 FM. It's the People Power Lunch Hour show, and it's the Youth Takeover. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have more youth voices. They're participating in a summer journalism program, and so we've been doing different segments and talking about different topics, all picked out by youth for youth. And so here today to present some more information to the public. Hello, how are you guys?
Hello, hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us who you are.
So my name is Hiromichi Nagayumi. I am currently a rising senior at Radnor High School.
My name is Agun Putra. I am a rising senior as well, and I attend Carver Engineering and Science in Philadelphia.
So our topic for this sort of forum / discussion is going to be human consumption, how the environment affects us and how we affect the environment. And to sort of start off, we're going to have Agun giving us this sort of, I guess, background on how we approach this topic. One of the things that we are going to discuss about for right now is going to be about food deserts.
So basically, how I got this idea was I attended a program at Penn. It was called the Social Justice Research Academy, and one of the lectures was about food deserts and how like nobody really knows about it. So basically, a food desert is basically an area where people have trouble finding and affording nutritious food, and like it's a problem that affects everyone in the whole world. And an example of that would be in a village in Guatemala. The name is
Right, the name it's sorry, I've never taken Spanish, but I don't even know if Guatemala
Santiago
Atitlan.
So in that village, there's a lake near there, and like the water is heavily polluted.
Right.
So,
So
like
Lake Atitlan is the lake that this actually it's called a municipality in Guatemala. This Lake Atitlan that it's bordering, it's actually a really sacred body of water that these people in the community highly value. But one of the conflict points in here is that this lake is extremely polluted. It's to the point where the water is no longer accessible for consumption. People can't bathe in it, and what's happening is that water needs to be imported from the neighboring areas at a really premium price, and this also means high taxes for the municipality.
And because of that, people have to look for another alternative, and that is basically soda products.
Right. So one of the things with the soda products that we're going to touch upon here is the NAFTA agreement with the United States. With the NAFTA agreement, what happened is that imports and exports from the United States, Mexico, and Canada, they were no longer taxed in the countries that they were exported to or imported from. So what happens is that soda products are now much cheaper than water.
And that's a huge problem because the communities that's affected by this are mostly like low income communities and are like they're less informed about what these products will do. So like most of these communities will face like diabetes, obesity, and other health related issues.
So in terms of statistics, how much more expensive is water? In terms of US cents or US dollars, it's approximately 20 cents more to buy water than it is to buy soda drinks such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or Fanta in Guatemala. Although 20 cents might not seem too much to us, if you were to convert it into Guatemalan quetzal, it's about 1.5, which is quite a huge influence on the people who are living there. We do spend quite a lot of money buying water, even here in the US, and to spend $1.05 more on that water would be, I guess, quite economically influencing. I mean, it is a misleading analogy in the sense that the price of water here does cost differently than the price of water does in Guatemala in terms of averages, but I think it's a really accessible way to think about it.
And that's an international problem. And like in America, we also have that problem where like communities are basically can't find affordable nutritious food. Like here in Philadelphia, there's actually 2 food deserts, if I'm not mistaken. One near North Philadelphia, and there's one near the airport, where like a person has to like get on public transportation or like walk long distances to go to a supermarket to buy fresh, healthy produce.
So with this sort of bringing it back to the community, in that sort of context, one of the main problems or one of the main obstacles that we have to go over as a community is this whole concept with food stamps. So what food stamps does is, as I'm sure many of you know, food stamps, they give essentially coupons to low-income families, low-income people in the community who can't afford food on a daily basis. And the problem with food stamps that we are experiencing right now with the rising rates of obesity in the United States, once you have food stamps, they are distributed once per month. And say you have $1 for food, for example, right? So you can either buy a tomato that's going to last you about 2 to 3 days before it rots, or you can buy a bag of chips for much cheaper that's going to last you weeks and weeks. So it's this sort of it's a sort of connection, I guess, between these coupons and obesity that we sort of have to recognize. And I think at the same time, there's also the stigma towards natural and organic ingredients. The whole thing with Whole Foods and Amazon is that before Amazon had bought Whole Foods, the price was much too expensive. It was marketed towards these high income families and higher middle class families as well. And people couldn't afford these organic and healthy products.
Yeah, people would call it whole paycheck because
Right, yeah.
it's very expensive. I've seen a meme going around that it has like a cheeseburger from like a fast food place and a salad, and the cheeseburger is much cheaper than the salad.
Right.
So that's kind of what you're talking about, how like fresh produce, healthy foods are too expensive, and so often people might opt for the unhealthier foods.
And one of the arguments I think a lot of people are making is this sort of discrimination towards low-income families and these minorities who are oftentimes low income. But if we were to take a sort of step back and look away from this sort of racial discrimination or whatnot, it's in the end really, I think, a human right to have access to good food, to have access to water, and to have access to these living necessities, right? It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what kind of community you come from. In the end, we all need food. We all need water. We all need healthcare. And I think this is something that we should keep in mind next time we're in the supermarket, next time we see someone in need.
Yeah, there's a food desert in Camden too, right across the river. And some folks did a survey of youth and asked them where they get their food. And most of them said that they go to a bodega, the corner store, a pizza place, the Chinese, fast food places, and like vending machines.
Right. I mean, with these sort of fast solutions to food, I guess, and this sort of deprivation of healthy foods, is that in these fast food places, there's so much preservatives that in the end, I think there was a medical study conducted by either, was it Yale? Was it MIT? I forgot. But it was in the end, when you're introduced to a large number of preservatives in your food, what happens is that your liver, by the time that you pass away, it's enlarged to the point of unhealthiness, I guess. Well, I mean, unhealthiness, it's not really a scientific name for it, but
yeah, it affects your health negatively.
Right. That's a much better way to put it.
It also affects the environment as well. It's like if you're eating like McDonald's or like some fast food, like all like the trash wasted from those products, it's really a burden on the environment. Like with the thing that you talked about with plastic straws. Right.
So we're gonna sort of introduce this segment towards the other half of our topic, which is how we affect the environment. Recently, what's been going around in social media, in Instagram and Twitter, we have this, I guess, community uprising for straws. And right now, most recently, Seattle has banned straws, and San Francisco has an ordinance that's supposed to come in at 2019. So which would ban plastic straws. Right now, Starbucks, Aramark, which is the world's leading straw manufacturer, and American Airlines are vowing to stop using plastic straws by 2020. In this sort of conversation that we have with straws is, so why straws? Why are we banning straws? This all started with a YouTube video, actually, of a straw being pulled out of a turtle's nose. I'm sure many of you may have seen it. If you haven't, it has currently, I think, 36.2 million views. It's actually quite. It's a really gross video, or so to say, because you can see the turtle struggling quite a bit. It's got a piece of a straw stuck inside of his nose, and when the researchers pull it out, it's really messed up, actually.
And people probably have like an emotional reaction because turtles are cute and it's like sad, and this has kind of helped people have this outrage against plastic straws.
And in terms of precedents, something similar did happen, I think, in around 2005, 2004, with the whole plastic bags issue in Morocco, as well as in Hawaii and California. In addition, there was also the what was it called? The plastic rings for the beer, for soda, for these cans, right? And that, I think, was around 2012. I think that's around the sort of time period where that was banned. Well, not really banned, but people were moving away from those sort of products.
I guess like the problem of like the straw controversy is like, how do we solve it? Because like beyond that approach, there's also like people with disabilities, like they can't drink without a straw, and like if like a place doesn't offer a straw, like you're basically like telling them, oh, like you can't drink here, you can't eat here, and like that's also a problem. But like I know there's one solution to this straw problem is metal straws or like glass straws.
Right. Well, one of the things with these solutions is that we're seeing them pop up in a lot of indie coffee shops. We're seeing them pop up maybe in Whole Foods, hopefully. But one of the main problems with this is that with these non-single use items is that we have to take time out of our daily lives, which are already busy. A lot of us live in the city. And most of us don't spend time each day to even brush our teeth. So with that in mind, I think it's really hard to introduce something that takes much more time, much more commitment than straws. Although we do value the earth, we do value these animals. People might say that, all right, we're going to switch to these alternatives, but in the end, they might wean back onto the plastic straws. I think it's a much more logical way to look at it. In terms of the solution, we can also take a step back and sort of ask ourselves, why straws, right? Straws, it's very influential in the whole. I think Agun mentioned people with disabilities, right? And so in terms of disabilities, it's very beneficial for these people to have straws. Say you have Alzheimer's. Say you have what was the thing with the joints? Sorry.
Yeah, people with like arthritis.
Arthritis. Sorry.
Fibromyalgia, MS. There's a lot of different disabilities.
Right, and if we were to take straws away from this community, from these people, it would really be incapacitating them to that sort of extent. And in terms of statistics, straws actually only make up of 4% of the plastic waste that we have on this earth. In terms of larger numbers, right? So 46% of the plastics in the ocean are fishing equipment. So why not focus on the fishing equipment? Why not focus on these much more bigger topics, right? Well, the answer to that is straws, much like other things that we have banned, the other single-use plastics that we have banned and stayed away from in the past. They're only a single step. They're the first step towards these conservation efforts. We have to take these gradual steps little by little because nothing's going to disappear with a snap of the fingers, right? It's all this gradual process, little by little, and we're working towards it. And the first step is straws.
So like, if we take a step back, how do we solve this problem with straws and like plastics in the ocean, like this environmental issues? Like it's all important, but like I guess nobody can like really pinpoint it on like where to go at it, because like there's all these solutions and like, do they work?
Right. So the thing about solutions is that Starbucks, quite recently, I think they started their whole campaign with the cardboard or paper straws. But then one of the main problems is that, I mean, you can walk into any local Starbucks right now and they probably have them on the display. They're probably selling them at around, was it like $1 for each of them? But what's really, I think it's incredulous what they're doing is that they're wrapping these paper straws in single-use plastic sheets. Like the packaging that they're using is single-use plastic. I mean,
wow.
Sure, it's a step in the right direction, but the way that they're executing it, I think they really haven't thought that through.
Yeah, you've given our listeners a lot to think about, and when you say 4%, that's a lot of straws.
So, I mean, 4% might not seem a lot, right? But straws are an American invention. It's ingrained in our American narrative. It's part of our country. You might not realize it, but it's been with us along the journey. It was, I think, invented way back in 1888. We moved into artificial straws. The company name I don't remember, but it was invented in the U.S. By the 1850s already, people with disabilities were using these natural straws, which one of the main problems with natural straws is that they would mold, they would break, they would crack because they're made with natural materials, right? They're not as safe, they're not as sanitary as these plastic, as these paper alternatives. So by 1924, we had 4 billion straws. We produced 4 billion straws in 1924 in terms of statistics. That's 35 straws per capita per person. Although some of these straws were exported, I think that's a huge number of straws. I mean, looking at it, companies have really deep roots in straws. Like our mark, you may not realize it, but honestly, it's everywhere.
Yeah, take a step back and like try to do a challenge with like I saw on BuzzFeed, like don't use straws for like a whole week.
Yeah.
So like that's really like interesting. Like a juice box has a straw. Like you like order something at Starbucks, there's a straw.
Everything has straws. Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but I want to thank both of you so much for all this research that you did. You put a lot of elbow grease into this story about the environment. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we wrap up?
I don't know.
Well, I don't really know.
We haven't thought this far.
Well, let's shout out all the people that were helping the turtles and the animals, pull all that plastic waste out of
Before we go, I think we
bodies,
should
right?
also have a huge thank you to Emily Plummer, or I guess our mentor for the Philadelphia Writing Project. She's been really helpful. It's been great, really.
Yeah, this has been a great youth takeover. So glad to have you all. And you're always welcome back, especially if you're going to, talk about important issues like the environment. I want to thank all of our youth participants and our guest producers for today on today's People Power Lunch Hour show. That's our show for today. We'll be back next Wednesday and every Wednesday at 12 noon. If you'd like to watch this episode and all of our episodes of the People Power Lunch Hour, you can find it online at our website at phillycam.org. Thanks so much for watching and listening.